Ichiluk, Batichimichu speak, Cleora speak, Upsalaka beak. Hello, my name is Cleora. I use she, her pronouns. I am a citizen of the Upsalaka Nation, also known as the Crow Nation of Montana. I'm affiliated with the Sioux and Pawnee tribes. I have black hair. I'm wearing a black shirt with a purple background. I serve as the executive director of Potlatch Fund, based in Seattle, Washington, and have been serving in this capacity in the last year. We are excited to be sharing with our community this informational video session about Potlatch's new Resiliency Fund. We currently have $1 million to grant to tribal communities, tribal governments, nonprofits, and individual artists. Our objective in this informational video is to provide our community with guidance about the Resiliency Fund around criteria, eligibility, our application process, and the storytelling opportunities that we have. Our second objective is for you to meet our team at Potlatch Fund, who will be presenting on each slide. And so, with that, let me begin briefly by sharing who we are, for those of you who are not familiar with Potlatch Fund, and give a little overview of our Resiliency Fund. Potlatch exists to close the gap in philanthropy by building relationships, reciprocity, and responsibility, sharing Indigenous value systems of giving. Philanthropy literally means love of mankind. Native Americans account for nearly 2%, which is 5.4 million of the US population. And yet philanthropic funding for our population remains less than 0.5% of annual foundation dollars. Potlatch Fund is a Native-led organization that provides grants and leadership development to tribal communities in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. And Potlatch Fund's works to promote diversity and address inequality by educating foundations about tribal communities, introducing them to Native nonprofits. And since 2005, Potlatch Fund has granted more than $6.5 million to Native individuals, tribal governments, and nonprofits. Our name Potlatch guides our work. Our work is inspired by the ceremonial potlatch, a traditional gift-giving ceremony in which clans and families distributed wealth throughout their communities, establishing a gift economy. These potlatches encouraged wealth distribution and helped us to build tribes based on social equity and communal responsibility. Today, we continue to catalyze an economy of shared resources in the spirit of our ancestors, not just to benefit the tribes we serve, but to strengthen the fabric of the society as a whole. When local communities prosper, everyone prospers. To learn more about Potlatch Fund, go to the contact slide in this presentation. Now let's talk a little bit about our exciting opportunity with the Resiliency Fund. We acknowledge that Indigenous people are often called upon to be strong across generations, and we stand to support those who champion healing and resiliency work. We strive to create ease, safety, and a place to rest, and therefore our act of resilience and healing brings us closer. In light of COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on Native communities, the Potlatch Resiliency Fund seeks to protect our way of life by funding resiliency actions that create hope, social connections, adaptation, flexibility, and purpose. This fund will provide grants that support general operating fund, projects and artists. This initiative is calling upon philanthropy by being a light shining on ways in which our community needs more flexibility and responsiveness and provide more unrestricted funding. The Resiliency Fund seeks to honor self-identified needs. We pull from our teachings of developing relationships as relatives by using a tribally designed relationship building approach that believes each community can take on pressing challenges, long-standing structural inequalities, racism, and with the compounded crisis of COVID-19 to adapt our practices that have a positive impact on the people and the communities that we serve. Dream with us. It's a new day. Now that I've shared a little bit of Potlatch and our resiliency grant, I will pass on to the next slide To Rebecca Miles, our Operations Director, also known in Nimipu as Chayanispu, to talk more about eligibility and to learn if you're eligible for this grant. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you, Cleora. Himakis kaitiayo, inam himyuma, inam lautua. Hello, my name is Rebecca Miles. I serve as the Operations Director. My pronouns are she, her. I have long dark hair, and I'm wearing black, sitting in front of a purple background. I have been at the Potlatch Fund for 1 year. I'm a citizen of the Nimipu, otherwise known as our federally recognized name, the Nez Perce tribe. I'm here to talk about eligibility for the Resiliency Fund, which we are so proud to provide to Indian communities within our service area. The following 4 eligibility requirements must all be met by each applicant. 1, you must serve and reside in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, or Montana. To make clear, you must live there and provide services in one of these states. 2, you must serve at least 51% of Native communities. This applies to organizations and individuals who provide services to community. For example, if an artist wanted to teach beadwork in their project, application participants must be 51% Native. Number 3, you must have a combined 2/3 of leadership and staff. This includes consultants and volunteers, reflect the Native communities they serve. This means add up all your staff, consultants, volunteers, and board members. In order to be considered Native-led, the total must be 2/3 Native. This does not apply to individual artists. Number 4, you must be one of the following: a federally recognized Indian tribe, band, nation, Alaska Native village, formally recognized or currently seeking recognition to the federal government. A state recognized Indian tribe, band, nation, Alaska Native village that has been formally recognized or is currently seeking recognition vested with the state legislative tribal recognition authority. A Native Hawaiian, a 501c3 or a 501c4 or fiscally sponsored. And finally, an individual Native artist or descendant, state or federally recognized tribe. Now that I have shared the eligibility information, I will pass on the next slide to Brian Tanner, Director of Philanthropic Partnerships, to talk in more detail about criteria, which is the application story or narrative. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hesselhalt, Pesia, Brian Tanner, Louis Quest. Good day, everyone. My name is Brian Tanner. I use he, him pronouns. I have short, dark hair, dark eyes, and I'm wearing a checkered purple shirt on a purple background. Like Rebecca mentioned, I'm the development director for Potlatch Fund, residing in Seattle, Washington, on the occupied territories of the Duwamish people. I'm a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes and affiliated Rocky Boy Cree, originally from Arley, Montana on the Flathead Indian Reservation. I'm going to read the criteria for the Potlatch Resiliency Fund. The Resiliency Fund believes that Native people hold an innate capacity for innovation, healing, protection, and to create community collaboration to sustain our sovereignty. It is our belief that Native people, if provided the opportunity, will always find a place to come together and find resources and partners to solve some of our community's biggest challenges. In light of the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on Native communities, the Potlatch Resiliency Fund seeks to protect our way of life by funding resiliency actions that create hope, social connection, adaptation, flexibility, and purpose. There's no wrong way to share your story of how you dream of giving to your community. So we urge you to dream big. The information gathered is used for future fundraising and storytelling for our funders who made this fund possible. Our grant supports general operations, projects, or artists. Next, I'll have Mary Coomer explain the application process. Much, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your words. My name is Mary Coomer. My pronouns are she, her, and I have long brown hair and eyes, and I'm wearing a green top and a large framed black eyeglasses. I'm a member of the Makah tribe who is working remotely in the homelands of the Suquamish tribal territories located in Bremerton, Washington. I'm in my 9th year as program manager, supporting grant making and advocacy programs. I'm pleased to share 4 ways to apply to a grant this year. The first option to applying is located on Potlatch Fund's website under the Grants tab. Select Online Grant Portal. Returning applicants can log in with an email and a password, or use the Forget the Password link if you need to reset. New users may create an account with an email and password to proceed to the application. The second option is to email us your application. On the website, download and complete the application and email it to us. Both Microsoft Word format and Adobe PDF applications are found on our website. Please find our email, phone information at the end of this slide as well. The third option is to mail us your application. Please do phone us if you need us to mail you an application as well. Lastly, you may phone us to schedule and complete an oral application with Potlatch Fund staff member. All applications are received to Potlatch Fund are reviewed weekly and may take up to 30 days to receive a grant award. Other resources about our grant making program are found on the grants page of Potlatch Fund's website. Frequently asked questions, the grant making manual, and of course the contact information, our email, our phone, our mailing address can be found at the end of this slide. Thank you. It's time to gather and ignite new dreams. Next, I'd like to introduce Shannon, our administrative manager, who will share more about the grant making logistics and the applications.
Thank you, Mary, for walking us through the Resilience Fund application process. Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Copelva, Administrative Manager at Potlatch Fund. I go by she, her pronouns. I have brown skin, long black hair, and I'm wearing a white blouse. I'm Paiute, Hopi, and Wallapai, and I have been with Potlatch Fund since July of 2020. I'm going to take a moment to walk you through what constitutes a completed application and submission. All applications submitted to Potlatch Fund will be reviewed weekly and processed for funding. Once your application is approved for funding, it may take up to 30 days to receive a grant check. Applications are screened for completeness and eligibility using the outline criteria that Rebecca went through. We ask that you are a Native-led organization, activity, or program that provides at least 51% of service to the Native community. You have the option of requesting funding for general operations, projects, or as a Native artist. In the application space, please provide a narrative that demonstrates building resilience through COVID-19. Please make sure to include your anticipated timeline with the start and ending dates. Applicants will be notified if materials are missing, and we will make every attempt to provide you an opportunity to complete the application. Please be sure to provide us with your best contact information, including phone numbers and email addresses. We have paused all previous grant making opportunities due to COVID-19. And in light of that, any grant proposals previously submitted for initiatives such as Potlatch Fund's Healthy Pathways for Native Youth, language preservation, community building, Native student success, or Native arts are invited to apply for this opportunity. $1 million will be granted out until all funding has been exhausted. It is my pleasure to be a part of the Potlatch Fund team, bringing you this momentous opportunity that provides flexible, self-identified funding for general operations, projects, and Native artists. It's time to light up our vision across our cultures. With that, I pass it along to KP, our relationships manager. Esquale.
Hashla. My name is KP. I have brown skin, long black hair. I'm wearing a black and purple shirt, and I'm sitting in front of a purple Resiliency Fund background. My pronouns are she and they. I'm a Nup'ak and a Swinomish tribal member and grew up in the Swinomish Indian tribal community. I am the relationship manager at Potlatch Fund and have been working for the organization since July of 2020. I am so excited to be a part of the communications team for the Potlatch Resiliency Fund and to let you know what's new with our storytelling component. We have some updates for this year. This year, we are not requiring final reports and are instead asking the recipients of the Resiliency Fund to share stories that highlight the impact of the grant funds received. We want to hear your Resiliency Fund story. Our goal is to gather all stories by December 31st, 2021 to share at our annual board meeting. Sharing these stories will serve to highlight the impact and future needs for the communities we serve. So, in your storytelling, we want to learn the following. What is exciting and relevant about your grant that you would like to share with Potlatch Fund? And what challenges occurred, if any, and what did you learn? At Potlatch Fund, we want to be flexible in how we receive your stories. So that means that you can provide photos, slides, video, audio recordings, or samples of writing that adequately represent the work. You can send us press clips or screenshots of your website listings for the work in either JPEG or PDF. We want the ways in which you share your Potlatch Resiliency Fund stories to be accessible. How to submit your Resiliency Fund story. There are 4 ways you can submit your stories after the completion of the grant. One is to attend a virtual partner convening and share the impact and continued need in the community. We are holding 2 of these, the first on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021 at 12 p.m. PST, and the second on Thursday, September 30th, 2021 at 5 p.m. PST. You only have to attend one of these. Second is to upload your stories to our online grant portal, which can be accessed by our website at potlatchfund.org. Third, you can submit narrative stories by email. And finally, you can also call us to submit an oral story or set up a Zoom meeting to share your Resiliency Fund story. Our contact info will be at the end of the presentation. We look forward to hearing your stories in one of the ways presented. It's time to lift up our hopes across our communities. And with that, I pass it along to Brian.
Thank you, KP. In an effort to indigenize our process and organization, we are lifting the many restrictions of traditional philanthropy. This is an opportunity to dream in a way that aligns with our Indigenous values. This fund is made possible by the fundraising efforts of Potlatch Fund and our annual gala. Our theme for the 2021 gala is Indigenous Vibrancy, which shows our community's resilience beyond COVID. Join us this year on Saturday, November 6th, 2021 at Emerald Queen Event Center in Tacoma, Washington for our 19th annual gala, with more details to come. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us and taking the time to learn more about the Resiliency Fund, to learn a little more about Potlatch Fund. And in closing, we want to thank our leadership, the Potlatch Fund Grant Making Committee, the Potlatch Fund Executive Committee or Executive Board, and for making the decisions to lead us to vibrancy for our communities as a whole. Our board and staff come from those communities we serve, and we have lived and know our struggles, but we also have lived and have seen our vibrancy, and we offer our love and our work. So with that, please dream with us. It's a new day.
It's time to breathe deeper and to stand strong in our resilience.
It's time to gather and ignite new dreams.
It's time to light up our visions across cultures.
It's time to lift up our hopes across our communities.
Potlatch Fund invites you to help lead us forward for our communities, for our culture, and for our relations.
Great seed.
Kaitsiao.
Potlatch.
Esquili.
Pleco, pleco.